In today's brief video, I want to speak to you guys about post-acute marijuana withdrawal syndrome. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs where we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. Now, if you're watching this video, I was once in your shoes experiencing acute marijuana withdrawal and post-acute marijuana withdrawal symptoms. So trust me, I promise I know what you're going through, and I promise there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, before I get this started, I just want to mention I put a bunch of links in the video description below giving you further information on this topic. So be sure to check that out at the end of today's video. Now, when you first quit smoking weed, there's a phase of acute withdrawal, and these are typically very physical symptoms that people experience. Headache, muscle pain, nausea, insomnia, very, very physical symptoms. And these usually last about 2 weeks. But some people will experience something called pause or post-acute withdrawal symptoms, and these can start at the 2-week mark and last anywhere from 3 months, 6 months. You might experience these symptoms on and off for up to a year after quitting using marijuana products. Now, don't let that scare you because we're going to talk about it and we're going to talk about how to make this better. My first tip for you if you're going through this is you have to break away from the pro 420 community. Like, get out of the forums, get out of the videos, get away from your 420 friends, because a lot of them are going to tell you that this isn't real and that you're crazy. And if you're anything like me and you're going through marijuana withdrawal, chances are you already feel crazy. I mean, I was flat out manic for a few days when I first quit. So the last thing you need is people who are in denial that have no comprehension of what this is, telling you that it's all in your head. So please try and distance yourself from people like that. My second tip for you would be is that you're not going crazy. Everyone has this unique endocannabinoid system, and this is the system that's impacted by cannabis use. So your experience with withdrawal might be very, very different from someone else's experience, but that does not make your experience with cannabis withdrawal discredited or wrong. The reality is no one has an in-depth understanding of this topic because the research is so greatly lacking, because cannabis has been a Schedule I drug substance thus far. So please realize you're not crazy. During this time, I want to encourage you to not beat yourself up. I remember when I was experiencing THC withdrawal, I was getting really, really down on myself. I'd kind of look at my life and say, man, Frank, how did you get here? Here you are, 27, 28 years old. How did you come to this point? Like, all the opportunities you've missed to this point in your life. Don't do this. Don't reminisce. Don't beat yourself up. View it as nothing more right now. You're temporarily sick and you're going to get better. It's like having a bad case of the flu, okay? It's gonna get better. I promise. I promise, I promise, I promise. During this time, I would also advise that you don't pick up other substances like alcohol or benzos or even things like over-the-counter sleeping aids and stuff like that. A lot of people are going to try and combat their withdrawal symptoms with other substances, and I think this is a really bad thing because post-acute withdrawal symptoms or syndrome is your brain's best attempt at recalibrating, okay? This is your brain trying to recalibrate itself. And it's trying to rebalance dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine. And in the case of marijuana, what I really think it is your endocannabinoid system trying to recalibrate all of its naturally occurring or produced endocannabinoids. And guys, the reality is this: we don't know how alcohol, caffeine, over-the-counter sleep aids, other pills that you might be prescribed during this time interact with your endocannabinoid system. Like, we have no idea really. So if you can, I would highly recommend avoiding reaching for something else. This is a great time to let your body heal naturally. My last tip before we talk about the symptoms, make sure you stay hydrated. I highly recommend drinking water and other things like sugar-free Powerade or Gatorade. These are going to be great things for you during this time. Don't worry about the artificial sweeteners right now. If you're committing to quitting cannabis and today is day one or you're experiencing this, tell yourself, I'm going to stay committed. I'm going to stay in this fight. I don't care if it's 2 weeks. I don't care if it's 3 months. I don't care if it's 2 years. I'm going to get better. I'm going to improve. I think that was one of the best mentalities that I personally went into post-acute marijuana withdrawal symptoms with. So, all right, let's jump into it. So what are some of the things that people may experience, guys? And this is a pretty hefty list, so bear with me, okay? Irritability is a really big one. I would recommend staying away from people who frustrate you if you have that chance, or staying away from people who don't understand what you're going through during this time, because, man, you're going to want to snap on them. Depression is another really big one, and I actually describe this more as anhedonia. This is described as a lack of joy, not being able to feel pleasure anymore. I find that this usually comes and goes, and I think it usually starts somewhere after the first 2 to 3 weeks, and this can come and go in waves for up to 3 months, 6 months, a year. This has to do with our brain no longer making its own dopamine naturally. This is very common in addiction. Anxiety, a lot of people notice an initial spike in anxiety, but I want you to keep in mind, chances are you're quitting, because if you're having a bad experience with weed right now, I have a feeling it's not actually helping your anxiety. When we develop an addiction, a lot of the symptoms of addiction, worried about our health, worried about our relationships, worried about our finances, they actually tend to make anxiety worse anyways. So you're going through it anyways. Irritation and mood swings. I know for me, I would cry at the drop of a hat. Like if someone would do something nice for me in post-acute withdrawal syndrome, I would just start bawling my eyes out for no reason. Low energy and fatigue. A lot of this has to do with fluctuations of dopamine and epinephrine, and probably insomnia, which we're going to talk about. Very, very normal to experience that initial state of fatigue. And like I said, for a lot of people, it has to do with insomnia. Now, some good news and bad news. The good news is eventually the insomnia is going to get better. The bad news is this may last a long time, guys. 2 weeks. I've seen studies talk about insomnia lasting as much as 45 days during the post-acute withdrawal phase of marijuana or THC products. My best advice is check out other videos that I made dedicated to insomnia at the end of this video. Brain fog. This is very, very common. When you're not getting those hits of dopamine throughout the day after you quit an addiction, it's very normal to get brain fog, to feel disoriented. So I would recommend when you first quit THC products, I'm sorry, guys. I have an eyelash in my eye or something like that. It's driving me nuts. Don't participate in challenging tasks or things like that. Try not to partake in things that are going to stress you out, especially things that stress you out, because stress is reported as the number one trigger for an onset of an attack of post-acute withdrawal symptoms. So maybe play video games, watch Netflix, do mindless things. I really enjoyed reading during this time, but do mindless stuff. That should help with some of the brain fog and that feeling of disorientation throughout the day. Chronic pain or myalgia. This is another really common one. I experienced this for an extremely long period of time. Now, granted, I was addicted to other stuff, energy drinks, nicotine, adult media content. So this could have been due to some of those things as well, too. But guys, it took me a solid year and a half, maybe even longer, until I could actually start weight training again and lifting weights in the gym. My pain perception was so messed up. And it makes sense that this happens because your endocannabinoid system has a significant impact and influence on pain perception. So very, very common to experience muscle pain, muscle twitching, tremors, just unexplained pain when you're quitting. Some people may experience a fever. That's more a symptom of acute withdrawal, usually in the first 2 weeks. Restlessness, headache, very, very common in the first 2 weeks. Appetite changes, not being able to eat. This goes on for many people for a very long time. They experience nausea. Some people may be experiencing vomiting. And guys, if you're experiencing vomiting and severe nausea in the morning and gastrointestinal reflux or GERD, I want you guys to consider that you might have something else going on called Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome. This can be a very serious condition, and symptoms of it can come and go for up to 20, 30, 40, 90 days after quitting THC. Because guys, we've seen people quit and still testing positive for THC 90 days after, especially in people using concentrates, dabs, high concentration edible products. We've seen this. I've put videos below on Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome for you guys to check out at the end of this video. Sweating is a very common symptom. This went on for me for at least a few weeks. It wasn't unusual throughout the day that I would actually go home during lunch, shower, and change my clothes. I was showering like honestly 2 to 3 times a day. Not only did the hot showers feel good and help to calm me down, but this like helped to take some of the stress out of the constant sweating. Constipation, you guys, I've had many clients that we work with use something called Smooth Move tea. Constipation becomes a major issue. But on the flip side, we've had people experience crazy diarrhea after quitting cannabis products. Chills and like shakes, these might just come in waves. I know for me, I had body temperature dysregulation for a very long time after I quit. I'm going to be honest. I was constantly cold, and I found going to the sauna to be like one of the best things that I did for myself during that time. Dizziness, I think that kind of goes along with the brain fog, but I do want to warn you guys, a lot of people when they quit, they may be in the process of developing psychosis from THC addiction or depersonalization from THC addiction. I've made more in-depth videos on those topics for you guys in the video description, but don't be surprised if you're in this category. You know, you might be seeing like weird hallucinations or hearing things or smelling things that aren't really there. We've had a lot of users report these symptoms. I know I had early stages of this, mainly with visual issues that I was experiencing. If you guys look back to my old videos, they actually gave me glasses to wear for a period of time. But looking back, now it's obvious what it was, that I've been sober for a while. And then the other big one that I want to mention to watch out for during marijuana withdrawal, and I made a separate video on this, would be the pink cloud phase. This usually comes, I don't know, maybe after the first few weeks in the first 3 months, and you start feeling like super, super, super good again, and you should feel good. But a lot of times what happens is people are like, wow, I haven't felt this high in a while. And then when eventually a stressful event happens or real life occurs again and they come back down off of that natural high, they say, wait a second, I feel like crap. And that might lead to a relapse. So the pink cloud phase, anhedonia, these are all symptoms, in my opinion, of post-acute marijuana withdrawal. Now, this is such a problem because if someone's experiencing these symptoms, typically at the 30-day mark, 60-day mark, 90-day mark, 120-day mark, the first year of sobriety, and at the second year of sobriety, if they're getting these post-acute withdrawal symptoms in waves and the person doesn't know what's going on, like was the case for me, like I quit for a year and I relapsed after a year, literally because of this, because I didn't have anyone explaining to me what was happening and how to deal with it. So that's why I'm making this video for you guys, so you can hopefully pick up some tips on how to deal with this stuff. Now, I think some of the most important things or easiest things to do to deal with this would be like very, very light exercise, swimming, walking, a gentle form of yoga, taking hot showers, going to the sauna. I think talk therapy is huge. It's so important, guys, that when you're going through this and you're beating yourself up and you're getting down on yourself, that you have the ability to talk to someone to reassure you that you're not crazy, that you're not losing your mind. Someone to help you process and navigate your emotions and your thoughts is so crucial. And you guys can do this through a group like Marijuana Anonymous. You guys can join our semi-private group coaching here at Addiction Mindset. You can work with me one-on-one if you have the financial ability to do that. Or, look to a local addiction treatment center. Perhaps consider an inpatient center or a program that's going to educate you on these things, guys. There's tons of stuff out there. Now, the internet is an incredible resource for learning about this stuff, but I don't want you guys to get caught up in watching videos, because I think that's only going to trigger more stress and more anxiety. So, and remember, what I'm talking about might be very, very different from what you experience, because our endocannabinoid systems are unique to us and not to someone else. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. A lot of people are probably going to ask me, is CBD something that can help me? And my answer is, if you have a high quality CBD product and it has third-party testing and you're using the right dose and you're doing everything correctly, then there is a chance it can help you with this. If you are suffering from Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, then I think do not use CBD. If you're getting the vomiting and the constant nausea, that might make things a lot worse and trigger more symptoms of CHS, which I've made other videos about that on my channel that I linked below, about using CBD to quit and all that stuff. Guys, I tried to make in this video the most comprehensive video on quitting THC. For most people, days 3 to 5 are going to be the most challenging, and after 2 weeks, many of these symptoms are going to subside. But just keep in mind that's not the case for everyone. So if you're feeling weird at the 3-month mark, if you're feeling weird at the 1-year mark, be on guard for post-acute withdrawal symptoms. Have a plan to manage them. Be aware of what's going on. And I think that's going to give you the best opportunity for a successful recovery and continued sobriety going forward into your future. And guys, if you need help, check out the pinned comment, check out the video description. Tons of resources for you guys there to get you the help you need. I'll see you guys in the comments and the video description below.